Hello, I'm journalist and comedian James Mullinger. Almost 10 years ago, I left London, England and moved to St. John, New Brunswick. Since then, my stand-up career has taken me to just about every town and city in Atlantic Canada, which, let's face it, has provided plenty of material. But I've also come to realise that this place is special and, crucially, underappreciated. So my wife Pam and I started a magazine, The Maritime Edit, to celebrate the natural beauty of the region and the incredible spirit of the people here. Here on the Maritime Edit's Atlantic edition, I've had the pleasure of meeting some of Atlantic Canada's most interesting and dynamic people and learned what drives and inspires them, and heard what they love about this place that we're all so proud to call home. Like I say, the most beautiful place in New Brunswick, which by default makes it the most beautiful place in the world.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
We're looking forward to this evening as well.
Yeah.
I know you've both got lots to do, so I will let you get everything prepared, and then we will reconvene after the show.
Yeah.
Super.
Happy days. Let's do this.
Dancing ballet by the ocean is it's a different experience, being able to adapt to the environment outside. It's very interesting and keeps things exciting.
To be a part of it now and just to see how beautiful the setting is, to dance outside, where I'm from, it's just super nice, yeah.
Without further ado, here's what you came to see. Ballet by the Ocean.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Atlantic Ballet, Atlantic Canada. Thank you. Enjoy your dessert.
This, was a field. It had never been touched since the Ice Age.
Right.
And when we dug it up, we had enormous boulders that you needed steam shovels for.
Right.
And it was a big problem, let me tell you. And it's improved.
And what year did all of this begin for you, this project?
It started in '95,
Right.
and we opened in '98.
3 years?
3 years.
To create all of this?
And everybody said start slowly, and I thought, phooey, we're just going to do it all at once.
Do it all at once.
Ignorance is bliss.
Wow.
I hadn't a clue.
You pulled it off, though.
We did.
You did pull it off, by hook or by
absolutely.
crook. It
I know,
happened.
and it was complete, we were amateurs. I'd never done a garden in my life. And all the people here were amateurs, too.
Incredible. So I guess the big question is why?
Well, that's a long, long story. It's going to take more than today to tell you.
Perfect. Well, let's sit down and try, shall we?
All right,
Let's
fine.
go for a chat. Oh, wow, look at this. I've been to the garden probably more than 100 times and I've never seen this pocket.
We keep this. This is very secret.
This is your secret spot?
This is where you go not to be bothered.
Oh, that's why you don't want me back here normally.
This is exactly it. But it's all full out there.
Yeah.
We have lovely lunches here.
This is the VIP area.
Exactly.
Is that what you're
So
saying?
you made it. You got
I
it.
finally made it. So you can see everything that's going on through there.
Exactly. And Brad's office is just there, so he can check on it.
Oh, he can keep an eye on things.
He
I love
keeps
this.
an eye on things. Hello, Alex.
Oh, Chef
My word.
Alex.
Mr. Mullinger.
How are you, my friend? Oh, my goodness. I did not know that we were going to be feasting. My favorite. Oh, my God, it's great to see you. Officially, I've said it many times, greatest lobster roll in the world.
Thank you.
And I did not know I was going to be enjoying one today.
Please enjoy.
Thank you. And wine too.
Well,
You are doing God's work, my friend. Mrs. Flavor, another surprise.
don't you like wine in the wrong time of day?
I certainly do. 10 a.m. Perfect.
It's going to be ruined for tomorrow. What are we going to do tomorrow at 10 a.m.?
I might still be here.
Well, why not? Here's to James and all you do for New Brunswick. Seriously, you're tireless, absolutely tireless, and a joy to be with. Come back often, will you?
Thank you. I certainly will. And coming from you, that means the world, because you are the most tireless promoter of New Brunswick ever. So thank you.
Well, here's
for
to the
everything
gruesome
you do.
twosome.
Here's the gruesome twosome. That's what they'll call us. Cheers. Was it during the period at university in Moncton that you kind of realised that there was clearly a demand for alcohol, which obviously, but also that through your business degree that you would be able to kind of turn this into a thriving business?
At that time, I was what I call at that time a beer hunter. There was not a lot of microbrewery, so you had to travel around the world to find some fine beer and fine alcohol. So I traveled in Belgium, north of France, UK, Germany, Czech Republica, and that's where I saw all those beer with nice story, with local ingredient, and that was very inspiring.
Yeah.
So that's why when I came back here, I said, we should be able to do the same. It's not because we're from New Brunswick that we cannot create alcohol from the land. So that was my inspiration.
And that's one of the things that I love so much about your story, and one of the things that I've admired so much when following your journey, is that in addition to being an entrepreneur and a world-renowned distiller, you're obviously very, very proud of your Acadian heritage, and also you're an incredible community leader. And let's not forget, I mean, providing a vast amount of employment in this region. How do you kind of, how do you kind of reconcile that in your brain when you're kind of, defining what you do?
It's a little story I have to tell you. It started when I was at school. I was not good in math, not good in French. There was one thing I was very good at, and I don't know why. It was history. I was in that class, the same as the other class, but when the teacher was speaking, it stayed. And I was probably one of the best of my class, but history, what do you do with history? But eventually when I opened the business, we had to choose names. And I had all those stories that was coming back. There was so many history that was inspiring for me. Right. So that's why I started to name them with people that mark the history of my region. Right. For the community, without the community, we would not be there. Right. So without people, clients that support us.
Right. And I mean that's one of the things I love so much about your products is I love the fact that on each and every label, while you're drinking, you can learn something about Acadian history, and that is an incredible thing. Drinking and learning, what more is there?
Yes, no, I like it too.
Incredible. Cheers. Wow.
So 45% alcohol, it's a big gin. The flavor are not shy, as you can see.
Yeah.
It's a better gin for tonic than for martini, because of the intense flavor.
It's delicious. Is this the one that won in London, England?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the one that you got double gold for, which I believe means that's a unanimous judge's decision.
Yes. All the judge assign a gold medal, so when all the judge assign gold medal, they call it a double gold.
So I mean, we're really not exaggerating when we say that this is a globally renowned gin being made here on the Acadian Peninsula.
Yes, we are very happy, very proud of that product.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Wow, this is stunning. This is the ultimate artist's space, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot of art in here.
There is.
From a lot of friends and from New Brunswick visual artists.
How was this built? Who built it?
48, 49 years ago, when I did not have 2 cents to rub together, wanted a house and a place to teach, a friend and I, we scrounged, and we tore down 3 barns, and we found all the bricks,
Right.
old bricks, cut spruce and cedar logs off the property, and we built the house.
So everything's repurposed. You got all...
Nearly everything here is repurposed.
So where did this come from?
Oh, this is actually an altar rail, and there was a Catholic church down near Musquash, New Brunswick. It had been desanctified,
Right.
and it was being torn down. So
Because that's your workspace.
my office, sort of up there,
Right. So
my computer, and so on. And you see the big window up there?
Yeah.
I've made more photographs from there all times of year than a few.
No.
Yeah.
So that's the golden spot right there.
Well, pretty golden, yeah. Something grabbed me about those greenhouses that hadn't grabbed me before. And between workshops, I was photographing them at dawn, I was photographing them at the middle of the day, I was photographing them at sunset, and I couldn't get enough. And in the process of that edit, the symbol began to emerge. In the end, with 10 photographs, I found that I had told, and I can show the 10 photographs, I use it in workshops. It tells the story of my illness, which led nearly to my death, long illness leading up to my near death in late 1999. Had a transplant failed. I was on life support, but I jumped to the head of the list in all of Canada. 5 days later, a second liver was available, and after much debate, they gave it to me, and even though I had less than 1% chance of surviving.
When I started making music, I talked a lot with my mom about, what does it mean to be an Indigenous artist? Like, I think there's a certain picture that people have in their head of what that is. Yeah. And I do like to subvert that expectation because the truth of the fact is anything I write is Indigenous music because I am Indigenous, right? Like,
exactly.
If it's a party anthem, it's an Indigenous party anthem, and anyone else can hop on the train and enjoy it too, right? But that's what it is. So I feel like just the life I live and the things that I want to talk about represent that experience, and I do want to be a good role model, and I want to be someone that people can understand or feel like I'm like them. Because I've been through the ringer, man. But I'm still here, and I'm always trying to promote that.
Where did the name Wolf Castle come from?
Wolf Castle. It's funny, man. I really love that name. I just thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
And
it's awesome.
When you look at the name, you think wolf, you think nature, you think, it's a powerful word, and castle is like, wow, it's kind of the opposite of like indigenous stuff. It's like a colonial sort of representation of medieval Europe, and it's like, oh wow, is he always going between these two worlds? Is he always doing this stuff? And that's one interpretation of the name. Yeah. But really, I came up with the name because I was making an account on Reddit.
Really? And that was just the...
And I was like, what's 2 words
that
sound really cool together? Wolf, Castle. And I went, that's awesome.
Bosh.
Because I was making like a new account on the internet.
Business is established, I'm a diamond with a status. Talking that shit in Spanish when I flow, I slam it baddest. Broadcasting here's a lesson, don't get caught up on the fences. I remember Papa stressing, took a rifle out the message. Losing people on my mental, seen the evil on my level. Bad weeds bugging straight, resin I know several. Kept it civil for survival, went to school.
This is my first time at Pavano Falls.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Absolutely stunning. I mean, it's like it's a wonder of the world. I mean, what does this place mean to you?
This is, a place that we would come all the time as a family and as the community, and it's a popular attraction as well, right? People come here just to take a look at everything that's here, right? It's amazing. So this place is where I really feel at home a lot. It's a good place to think, and the water, the sound of it all, it just, I don't know. It gives me a sense of peace. Yeah, right? Like,
I love that. Yeah, well, it's very spiritual. It's very cathartic.
Yeah.
Do you find that this is the kind of place that you can come to feel creative, and does it kind of does it get your brain working, or is it more of a place just to kind of relax and unwind?
I think it's a really good place to relax and just think about where I am in life, or feel connected to not only my family but ancestors as well. Because this place has been visited for thousands of years by ancestors. And it's just amazing for me to be here and to think, wow, you know, my grandfather was here, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather, they all, you know, and my family, they all came here. And I always feel connected to them because I wonder, you know, they took in the same view, they thought the same things probably, and it's just a way to feel connected.
Let's talk about the highs. I mean, you know, Carnegie Hall and you know, I mean, what was it like? What's the pressure like when you know that you're going to be performing at the opening ceremonies of the Olympics and you know that billions of people around the world are going to be watching? And of course, over the years, you've mastered the art of walking out on a stage, but when it's 2 billion people, that's a whole different thing.
When it's 2 billion people, it's a different thing, but it's still pretty much the same.
Right.
And that's where the courage is, because one thing I do know how to do is sing. Like, I can transcend, there's tricks up my sleeve I'll never have to use because it fascinates me. I love the process. It's what has called me. I still remain stumped by it sometimes, and yet there's so much that I built in my singing arsenal of like tricks and toolbox and all that. I love it. It still turns me, and opera lights me up.
Right.
Because it's super hard. Like, make no mistake, like you're looking at it wondering, how does she do that? Yeah, there's a method.
Right.
And it is like complicated. It's not natural.
So when did you realize that it was going to open doors and make a living? Like, talk me through the transition from working hard, practicing, training, studying, and then suddenly actually getting paid to do it.
Well, I was sort of the town singer in Fredericton for all your bar and bat mitzvah, wedding, funeral needs. So I was constantly singing. I was also competing in the Fredericton Music Festival and winning, which is cash prizes. So, like, for me, my competition kind of drove me. For other people, it might be relationships. For me now, that's relationships. So what does that mean, young singer watching at home? Well, if you meet someone who means something to you and helps you advance and they're in a greater place professionally, we'll glob onto that person and learn every possible thing that you can from that person. It is kind of unsexy insofar as it ultimately comes down into investing in relationships, the follow-up, the phone call, the email, the handwritten note. All that stuff is work.
Yes, it's true. I mean, I often joke to people, but it's true that I spend more time as a performing artist at a desk than I actually did when I had a desk job because of all of those relationships and admin and things that...
And I often say I spend like 6% of my career on stage.
Right.
You have to be in it for like the 94% that's like...
making those 6% happen.
Woke up this morning with my mind.
Well, I agree. I don't think anyone would think that you are afraid of anything, but I'm going to put that to the test. There is one thing that I would like to do. Are you game?
This sounds very ominous, but I'm so in. What is it?
Let's do it. Follow me.
Nos heures sont des rivières qui coulent en folle frénésie. L'amour est liquide.
Misha, thank you for an amazing day. This is really the only real end for a day like this.
Honestly, let's put our lives on the line.
Let's do this. Anything.
Life-threatening canoe ride. The getaway car.
Any tips for me?
No, it's looking good. It's looking good.
Okay.
This is like, maybe we'll see a whale.
Yes. We are living the dream. And sorry, am I splashing you?
No, you're not. You're doing so great. You're doing so great.
The State of the Province address, which you've done for, I mean, how many years now?
I think I'm on my 4th or 5th premiere. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So that's coming up with a lot of new material every year. And obviously, I mean, the news guides you. And of course, you obviously write a newspaper column as well. So you are, intrinsically kind of, soaking this up anyway. But that's still a big gig, does the pressure get bigger, or do you now take it in your stride?
I have to say that the biggest challenge, I'm sure you can really, especially when you get 1,500 people in a room, is getting their attention.
Right.
And audiences have always been difficult in places like that because they've not like they've bought tickets to be entertained.
Right.
They're there because their corporation bought a table, or they want to lobby the government in some way.
We're not the reason they're
We're not the reason they're there.
Yeah.
But I always find the number one goal when you're asked to do that, and like you say, at a wedding, you know, tell the truth about the person and the last will come. You do as you have a certain luxury where you know, God bless, you know, he's not with us anymore, but if you said Robin Williams was coming, people would be laughing before the show started.
Right.
And because I've managed to fool some of the people some of the time in the past, there's kind of I'm given a wide berth that I can get up there and
Right.
you know, fart, and people, you know,
They're ready to laugh. It's not like you have to tell yourself to a corporate crowd that don't know. Or, yeah.
And you know, you just say, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here. And they laugh. And it's like, I didn't say anything funny. And so, you know,
it's the laughter of anticipation there. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, what's he going to say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there is that aspect too, is like, oh my God, I don't believe how you get away with that. Because the one thing you can do, you can still make fun of politicians there, because God bless them, they, you know, they don't deserve it, because they really do. I mean, anybody that goes into politics to me needs to be commended, but it's they're fair game, as they say, because you know, then that's the beauty of living in a democracy. So that is really the state of our province and the state of, you know, comedy in our province, and that's why I love it.
I mean, we were talking earlier about the fact that, you know, Edmonton and you know, all the surrounding areas have become this kind of, you know, destination for people that just love snowmobiling, and it's one of the best places in the world to do this. Can you tell me a bit about that, and when that kind of realization happened, that in addition to having all of those amenities at the power station that, you know, tens of thousands of people, I'm sure, kind of passing through every week, that you can then also kind of benefit from the tourism as well?
Well, the success of the Grey Rock Power Center has been tremendous and has really put our community, I think, on the map. We had a Ford dealership come in, and that has been tremendous in opening the eyes of non-native people, saying, "Wow, you know, we could get in there as well." And you know, we've grown to have like a motorsports place, a hotel, and a giant tiger, a Dollarama, and a sports store, and a fishing store, and a bar. So things are definitely moving along, and a food court. So it's growing, and it's a great area because the location is fantastic.
Yeah.
And our community is thriving for that. Like our standard of living has been lifted. We have great housing and infrastructure. And you know, we dedicate a lot of our revenue to education and health, and these things are being shown, and taking care of our elders, providing youth care. It's just it's continuing to grow, and it's fantastic.
It's an amazing thing to see, and it's a beautiful thing and an inspiration to so many people. And then looking at the country as a whole, and you know, issues across this country, and indeed, you know, the government we currently have into power and whoever's next, you know, do you feel like Canada is on the path to any form of kind of meaningful reconciliation? And if not, what can people do to help, or indeed guide that?
Well, you know, I believe in reconciliation. It's a lot of people are skeptical. But I do believe it can happen. The biggest problem with reconciliation is recognizing that what the system has done. And I've said this before, it's a house of cards. And that's a difficult thing to actually even think about. If your system was built on a false foundation, and you recognize that, then what does that mean? It means that everything else is illegitimate. So but do I think it can happen? Absolutely. But that admission has to happen first.
So if it's all right with you, I think I'll retire here too.
Absolutely, it's paradise.
It is absolutely gorgeous here. I mean, just stunning world-class views all around, and for a horse lover, I mean, where else could you want to be?
Nowhere but in the open spaces.
That is it. And I noticed that obviously as your stable ranch is being completed, we are in true New Brunswick fashion here in your neighbour's yard.
That's right, that's right. My horses started out here, and until my place is finished, they'll remain here.
Just looking around and seeing, it feels so historical, it feels so beautiful. I mean, you were always essentially hosting people for wonderful reasons, like celebrating people for their achievements or their philanthropy. You essentially live in New Brunswick's best party house.
I would say you're absolutely right. Yes, it's lots of fun, and I think people love coming here. I find it to be a very warm space, even though it's large. It's quite warm and welcoming here. So I think, yes, people love to come. Love to have them here.
Well, I cannot wait to see around. I can't wait to chat and to dig deep. The few times that we've met, I've had so many questions to ask, but we're always passing, whether it be in a church foyer or the backstage of a theatre. So if we may, can I dig deep into your brain?
You absolutely can. Let's go this way.
Thank you very
Down
much.
to the library, yes. So this is our library. Absolutely beautiful room. Absolutely beautiful. If you'd like to sit there.
This room is absolutely beautiful. Where are we sitting right now?
So this is the library. It's actually Linda's and my favorite room in the house, and I can remember so vividly when we came here on our tour, just a few days after, well, the day after, I think, the announcement, and came into this room and thought, gosh, this is just stunning. It's so bright and warm, and we also thought that we would come down here and read every book, which of course we've not done.
How many have you read?
We have not read any in here, I have to admit, but the room is used very often. So we host ambassadors here or heads of state, and also it's a room that people love to have photos taken in when they're here for events, so it's well used.
So that was the first time that you saw the house. What was that like when you came in to Government House for the very first time, obviously knowing that this was going to be your residence and your place of work and life?
It was overwhelming. I had been here before for an event, but really just briefly and in one of the main rooms. It was overwhelming. First of all, we had a driver come pick us up. So I remember talking to the staff who had called me just after it was announced and asked if I could come up the following day. And Private Secretary Judy said, you know that you have a chauffeur and he'll come and get you. And I thought, no, I was just going to drive my little Volkswagen Golf to Fredericton. So even that, coming with, somebody driving us here and then being greeted at the door by staff, they were so warm and welcoming. That was lovely, but it was very overwhelming.
And what advice would you give to a young New Brunswicker who is trying to find their place in the world, but also wants to make a difference, wants to help, wants to bring about equality? What can people do to get involved and make a difference here?
I think my advice would be to listen a lot. To listen to others who have been on the ground, but to listen to people who have that lived experience. I think someone gave me advice when I started this position that's been so useful, but to be yourself. And that sounds kind of trite, but really it is about being true to what your values are and holding on to those and feeling strong in that.
Beautiful. Wise words. Thank you so much for a really, really amazing day. I can't thank you enough.
Wonderful. It was very, very, very nice. Thank you.
And like I say, all those times I've been desperate to pick your brain, I finally got to do it. This feels like a victorious moment.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank
That's
you
great.
very much. Let's enjoy the trail.
Okay.